Alright, we have a whole bunch of freaking battle quests. Who wants to talk to me now? Apparently it's Raphael.
Hey, Professor. I think you've been working too much lately. The battle's gonna keep going with or without you, but you're the one doing the most out there. It's real impressive how you can focus on giving orders and fighting. I don't think I could do both in the same battle. I see you running all over the place, even after the battle's over. I just don't want you to wear yourself out.
Maybe I am tired.
You gotta take
I'm doing
a break
3
when you
playthroughs
can.
of this game.
Even when you're feeling fine, it could suddenly hit you. No offense, Professor, but don't you think some folks might be taking advantage of you? Claude keeps asking you to do things, but you never say no. Like when you gave that speech to the troops. That didn't seem like something you wanted to do. I know you gotta follow orders on the battlefield, but you shouldn't have to do things off the battlefield if you don't wanna.
You've done things you didn't want to.
What do you mean? Like studying? Sure, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but that was to keep my little sis fed. I had good reason for it.
It's the same for me.
The same, huh? I think I get what you mean. You do things you don't want to do for the sake of everyone else. That's real noble of you, Professor. I guess I can't get in your way if you're doing it for the right reasons. Okay then. I'm gonna keep trying to do my best. But now, I'm gonna do it for you. My little sis is important to me. But you're real important too. I always work hard for the people who matter to me. And having more of them in my life just means I gotta work even harder. What do you think?
I think you're important to me too, Raphael.
Really?
I was about to
expecting
say.
you to say that. You're gonna make me blush.
It's getting a little on the...
At least until this war's over.
Violet, you might not want to give Raphael the wrong impression here.
You got nothing to worry about, Professor. I've been training non-stop. I got your back, no matter what.
Neat. I don't know why they're all just lacking like the little smidge of motivation. Let's see here. So this will ham out like this whole area over here. We'll fast travel up to the upper floors of the monastery in a hot second.
Instead, uniting with allies from all across Vodland to fight for our cause. Looking back, it would have been best to ally with the kingdom.
Well, I didn't recruit that many of them before the time skip.
But now the kingdom is not exactly, well...
Well, I'm gonna... Actually, maybe I'll fast travel to the training grounds first. Looks like there's just Leonie here. I'll talk to everybody on this exploration, I guess.
I'm fighting alongside you.
But Raphael secretly has a crush on the professor. He probably does. Do you see his freaking blushing?
First and greatest apprentice to look out for you. Of course, it wouldn't be enough just to keep you alive. It's my duty to make sure you win, too.
Okay.
So do your best, Professor.
I mean, you are a pretty
Count
good
on me to
sniper,
watch
Leo.
your
What's
back.
this person doing? Yes, just walk into that wall. Cool. And then walk back. Sure. Sure. Let's see here. We already went to the cathedral. There's no one in the dormitory. We'll go check up here. Is the thing. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of characters in this game who secretly have a crush on the professor, though, honestly.
Weary and
A lot of them give that impression a lot of the time.
These past 5 years, my hands have been bound. But now, I can finally take action with
I mean,
a
you're like my
clear
best
goal.
magic user in my
I'm
whole
grateful
army.
To you and to everyone.
So I'm sure you're gonna still keep wrecking things. And that goal is...
Down with the Empire. Surely
You can
peace
probably
will
solo a lot
follow
of them.
if the
You're pretty
Empire is
strong.
Overthrown. Then my parents can finally find peace themselves.
I mean, you can freaking nuke basically any enemy that comes your way. Lysithea is very much a glass cannon. Enemies might be able to like 1 or 2 shot her, but she freaking 1 or 2 shots everybody
I don't know
else.
anything about rebuilding, but I can sure do my best to clean up the mess. I'm gonna keep Lady Rhea's room spotless,
Well-
so she can use it right away whenever she gets back. You
They
gotta
do
find
actually-
it, Professor. You just gotta.
That's actually untrue. They actually do have that in this game, Guzma, but only with like a select few. Raphael is not one of them, I believe. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. If you play as the female Byleth, as the female professor, I know that you can go with Edelgard, Dorothea, and maybe someone else? I don't remember. And if you go as the male professor, you can go with... Dang, I don't remember. But at the end of the game, like after you've beaten the final boss, there's basically somebody who you can choose to like pair off with. Yeah, essentially. So the game that kind of, well, it's not the game that introduced it in the Fire Emblem series, but the game most well known for that kind of thing, it was Fire Emblem Awakening, where in the plot of Fire Emblem Awakening, you would essentially have a couple of your allies fight next to each other, and maybe they'd like get to know each other more, and if you like advance their support conversations enough, there's like S here. So like C, B, A are the various normal support conversations, but if you get to S, that means that like the people that achieved S with one another have like married each other, basically. Three Houses doesn't have anything like that between like all the different character stuff like that. It's just your unit can potentially pair off with somebody at the end of the game, is all it is. Yeah, I don't think I recruit. Oh, it looks like Yuri is one of the options as male Byleth. You can pair off with him is one of the ones. Like, you can't with Balthus, can't with Cyril, can't with most of the male characters, but it looks like Yuri is one of the options. I forget who the other ones are, though, but I know that there are, like, a handful of same-sex options for both of them. But the plot of Fire Emblem Awakening, which was the most well-known for introducing S support, was, like, you could pair off, like, pretty much all the units of your army of the opposite sex with each other with S support, is a thing here. Didn't know that, well, they are being homophobic after all. Yeah, so in Fire Emblem Awakening, there weren't any same-sex relationships. The plot of that game was like, oh, you pair off these units, and then, like, their children from the future come and, like, assist you in the battle. So anytime you, like, paired off two units, there'd be, like, a side battle that you could do where you would recruit, like, another child who's like, hey, I time travel from the future. I'm, like, your kid. And that was how that went. So in Fire Emblem Awakening, each of the female characters had a preset, like, this is who their kid is gonna be. So, like, if you want to, like, tactically try to make, like, the best pairing options you could and, like, pass the best skills and abilities down to the children, you would then, like, look at your army and be like, okay, who are these kids' fathers gonna be? Who are we gonna give to, like, each of the female characters who has, like, a kiddo? In the next game, Fire Emblem Fates, they brought back that same idea of pairing off your units in S support and them having kids, but to mix it up from Awakening, it was now the male characters who had a preset kid, you know, in Fates. And so in Fates, instead, you would look at the female characters and be like, okay, who do we give to, like, each of the freaking preset male characters' kids to be their mother, to give them, like, the best stats and stuff like that? So in Awakening, it was the female characters who had preset kids, and in Fates, it was the male characters who had preset kids, so they, like, switched it up with those two. But in Awakening, there weren't any same-sex options, because they were like, let's just, like, focus on freaking, you know, the whole kid plot and stuff like that, and make sure that the player actually, you know, has kids and stuff like that for that plot. But in Fire Emblem Fates, the whole kid thing had nothing to do with the story that was being told at all. They just shoehorned in the whole kid thing because people really liked it from Awakening. Like, Fates was very much a game that, you know, existed to be a fan servicey kind of game. Fates was the first game that introduced same-sex options. If you did that, though, then you wouldn't be getting a kid. I think that there was only one option if you were male Corrin, though. Corrin being the name of the protagonist in that game. If you were male Corrin, I believe you could go with Niles, and if you were female Corrin, I believe you could go with Rajat. I have no idea how her name is actually pronounced. So there was one option for each, but I believe it was just one. In Three Houses, there's like a few options for both sides. So it's not completely like there's the option for anybody. Like, as you can see here, there's no S, there's no S, there's no S, there's no S. And there's S's beside like all the female characters. But there's typically like 2 or 3 options for each of them. Like, I could find a list. Looks like Yuri is one of the options. But yeah, so that's essentially that. So in Fire Emblem Three Houses here, there is no kid plot. There is no like pairing off and making kids stuff like that. The S support is essentially like, oh, once the game is over, who, like, after you've beaten the final boss, who do you want to pair off with, and see a final cutscene of them being like, hey, let's spend our lives together. Because what a lot of people like Fire Emblem for, I most like Fire Emblem for its tactical gameplay. Wait, I just noticed I'm still in Cavalier. Speaking of tactical gameplay, this is not very tactical at all, staying in Cavalier. Freaking change back to Enlightened one, please. Okay. Okay, but Fire Emblem has become a lot of things over the years. Like, on one side, it's a freaking insanely in-depth tactical RPG. On another side, it's a game all about, like, developing relationships with your characters and freaking, you know, getting to see how they progress and see how they change over time and, like, all these little side stories. And another thing that it's kind of become is in some ways, almost a dating sim. Honestly, in some ways. Like, it's very much not that important. Like, in this game, it's... Like, it has nothing to do with the story pairing off with anybody in this game. But because people really, really liked it in Awakening and Fates, having, like, a character where it's like, oh, like, I totally love that character, and I'm going with them because I freaking love that character. They brought it back in this game, but it's something that you can only do after you've beaten the game. And then you see, like, a final cutscene with them where both you, your character and them are like, oh, I love you, I'm gonna stay with you until, like, the end of time and stuff like that. Wait, that means... Wait, if Yuri is an S support option for me, I was just talking about how during his cutscene earlier, he was like, oh, I'll maybe tell you my name one day, but it wasn't in his A support. Because S support is an option with Byleth here, I'm almost tempted to pair off with Yuri at the end of the game just to see, like, what he says and if he says his real name. Because I'm honestly curious now. Like, I didn't know who I was gonna go with at the end of this playthrough. Maybe it'll be Yuri, just because I kind of want to see what he says now, is the thing. But yeah, so you can have a kid but won't really have any story on it. Yeah, for Fire Emblem Fates is the case, but not in Three Houses. So Awakening and Fates had kids, and in Awakening it was part of the story. In Fates they just put it in because people really liked the kids mechanic from Fire Emblem Awakening. The story excuse that they had in freaking Fates was really dumb. The excuse that they had in Fates was like, oh, these two characters had a kid together, but during a war is like no place to raise a kid. So they put the kids in this little pocket dimension along with some assistants, but time passes way faster in this little pocket dimension. And then before you know it, they're like basically almost the same age as the adults and like come and help you in the battle as well. So it has literally nothing to do with the story being told in Fates. It's just like, yep, these two had a kid in the middle of a war, put them in the pocket dimension where they become like almost the same age as the parents in no time at all, and then kerblam, kids mechanic, and use the kids in the war. Fire Emblem Fates is a very strange game.
I am most curious though.
So,
you say you were
and there's no kids at Three Houses.
Whole years. Incredible. Perhaps this is another effect of your crest. I do look forward to investigating you in greater detail.
I have a, maybe later.
I'll have to be content with observing
Let's see here.
Wherever you go then. I cannot waste any opportunity.
So Fire Emblem Awakening was the most famous for like the kids mechanic, but I haven't played a lot of the classic Fire Emblem games. I will one day, but I'm fairly certain the one that introduced it was Genealogy of the Holy War, which was a game where there was a time skip, and kind of like how this game has a 5-year time skip, Genealogy of the Holy War had a time skip. And after the time skip, all of your characters from like before the time skip have kiddos, and then you use like the kiddos in the freaking past the time skip. I don't know if there's any other games in this series that have the kiddo mechanic though. I'm not sure. But yeah, so about Edelgard, did a bit of research the other day and heard that she's one was difficult to get along with. So at the beginning of the game, when you choose your house, there's like 3 main house leaders. You've got Edelgard with the Black Eagles, you've got Dimitri with the Blue Lions, and you've got Claude with the Golden Deer. So I did Black Eagles on my first playthrough, I did Blue Lions on my second playthrough, and now I'm doing Golden Deer on my third playthrough. So that means that I have Claude as like my kind of main character of this playthrough. But you can only use Edelgard if you went with her route, the Black Eagles, at the beginning of the game.
Professor, you haven't changed a bit. At your age, I'd expect your whole demeanor to have changed greatly over 5 years. Though I suppose I haven't changed either, right? Thank you for noticing, by the way.
Well,
just the 2 of us.
I'm out of here. Anyway, Edelgard is a character that if you do go along with her, like if you do choose her route, since there's like the 3 main routes of Black Eagles, Blue Lions, Golden Deer, if you go with her route of Black Eagles, she's very much one of those characters where it's like, she very obviously has a crush on the professor, essentially. So she is one of the characters that you can actually pair off with as female Byleth. If you choose to play as the female protagonist, you can still pair off with Edelgard because she is a freaking insane crush on the professor. So, like, you can pair off with her regardless. But for some reason, there's like the 3 routes of this game: Black Eagles, Blue Lions, and Golden Deer. For some reason, the Black Eagles route splits off into 2 at the halfway point. And it splits off in a way where it's like, this massive war that's going on over this country is initially started by Edelgard, like she's the one that starts the conflict with the other 2 countries. So on the Black Eagles route, you, at the midway point, you essentially have a choice of, do you want to go with Edelgard, or do you want to stand against Edelgard and like opposer forces? I didn't know that's what the game was telling me when it presented me with the choice. Do I want to go with Edelgard on this mission that she wants to go on, or do I want to stay at the monastery? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do all the routes at some point anyway, so I'll do the option that's probably worse first. So I told Edelgard I was busy, I'm not going with her on her secret mission. And then, like, one of my favorite characters, Edelgard, freaking stabs me in the back, and she was one of the best units in my whole army, and then she turns against me, and I was like, oh, I did not know that was gonna happen? Okay. So, like, but yeah, I was kind of planning to do her route anyway, so that's interesting. Yeah, so if you go with Edelgard, it does very much seem like the Black Eagles route is a bit held back because of the fact that it has, like, 2 options, whereas the other 2 routes just have, like, 1 option each. Apparently, from what people have mentioned to me on my stream, they were initially planning for the Blue Lions to have 2 routes as well, and also have a split, but they, like, scrapped it before release, which, like, thank goodness. I think it's better if they just stick with, like, 1 thing for each one in either way. And I think the Black Eagles route would have been better if it was just like, yeah, you for sure gotta stay with Edelgard without the branching paths. Because before the time skip, there's 12 chapters. After the time skip, if you're playing Blue Lions or Golden Deer, there's 10 chapters. If you play the Black Eagles and you go against Edelgard, there's 9 chapters. And if you go with Edelgard, there's 6 chapters. So even though she's like the most marketed kind of protagonist of this game before it came out, like the most kind of flagship protagonist that all the marketing has been around, her story is the shortest in the entire game by a significant margin. Like, I haven't played it and experienced it. It's the one route that I haven't done, and I probably will never do because I don't want to go through a whole nother playthrough again.
I've searched
But
for you and the Archbishop. It is a pleasure to see you again. The Church of Saros will follow you from now on.
Cool.
But please do not abandon the search for Lady Rhea.
We'll do whatever it takes to find her.
Thank you.
There you go.
I know the battles ahead will be dire, but we will support you with all our strength.
And in my video essay that I'm working on this game, that's one of my complaints that I bring up. I say that, like, they should have just focused more on, like, the 3 routes, the 3 houses, instead of being like, oh, here's this house, and then for this one, you do, like, most of it, but then it, like, splits off into 2 other options. That's just 2 completely different things. I think it would have been better if, you know, there was just, you know, the 1 path for each, but instead the Black Eagles route splits off for whatever reason. And it's the only route in the entire game that splits off like that. It's very strange. Which, again, apparently they were planning on doing for Blue Lions as well, but, like, I'm really glad that they didn't, I think. Let's see here. Let's go down to the Abyss and see what they have to say down there. Anyway. Yeah, I do wish that it wasn't, like, branching partway through. Like, it feels very much shoehorned in. I mean, when it comes to my, like, if you do 1 playthrough of 3 houses at some point in the future, when it comes to my impressions of the 2 routes that I have done, which is the Black Eagles route where I go against Edelgard and the Blue Lions route, the Black Eagles route going against Edelgard, it felt very much like it existed more so for lore drops.
Professor.
Like, it didn't have that good of a story. It was just like, yep, let's fight against the Empire and do stuff. Like, it answered a lot of questions. Like, there was a couple of cutscenes where it's just like, oh, let's answer these questions and solve these mysteries that you've been having. We'll explain it all to you right now. It felt very much like that route existed to drop lore, essentially, and to build, like, the overall picture of the world and be like, okay, that makes sense now. Gotcha. I've got something to report.
It's you.
But it doesn't seem to have much of a story of its own.
It's been 5 whole years,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
you're yellow now.
Time flies when you're standing guard. That's right. I've been here the whole time.
Whoa.
Day in and day
I like
out.
the Abyss Keeper, just like the Gatekeeper.
Where else to be? Looks like the Knights of Seros have returned. I wonder if Mr. Backup is back too.
Oh, that other dude who was here before? Oh man, I love the Gatekeeper, I love the Abyss Keeper. So if you want to do like 1 playthrough and experience, you know, a good story and stuff like that, I don't think I'd recommend the Black Eagles route where you go against Edelgard, because it seems very much like it was just like, yep, let's use this route to explain stuff and drop lore. Like, it didn't seem to have too much of a story of its own. I don't know what the plot is like when you go with Edelgard, but all I know is it's the shortest one in the entire game, being like half the length of the pre-time skip, so it's apparently not super long. I'm doing Golden Deer right now, so I don't know how it ends. Like, I can't even say I've enjoyed it so far because, you know, the first half is the exact same for every route, so I don't know what's going to happen in Golden Deer yet. But the Blue Lions route, I actually really enjoyed it. It didn't the Blue Lions route very much felt like it didn't really serve to explain any of the lore of the world or solve any mysteries. Instead, it focused more on, like, your relationship with Dimitri and how Dimitri handles, like, the world around him. Dimitri being, like, the protagonist of that route. And honestly, it was really fascinating, honestly. I actually really enjoyed how his character developed and such. Because he's a character who, like, starts out pretty, like, carefree and stuff like that. And he's just, like, you know, a kind of flagship kind of student who's always there to help his fellow students and always be uplifting and stuff like that. He's gonna make a great king and stuff like that. But you hear a little bit of mention from characters like Felix saying, like, he has a dark side. Watch out. Like, watch out for it. He may seem all friendly, but he has a dark side. And throughout the story, or throughout the pre-time skip, you begin to see parts of that surfacing. When he sees things that really make him mad, he'll be like, let's chop off all their heads and make their blood soak the soil, and, like, just freaking lose his mind. And you're like, oh, so this is Dimitri's dark side. And after the time skip, you see him, like, completely embrace this dark side. And he makes some very interesting arguments, like, with this dark side, where, like, you'll capture an enemy captain and he'll make the argument that, like, oh, so you fight to, like, protect, or you fight to, like, expand your empire. I fight to, like, you know, have my demons freaking stop haunting me and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're both killing and we're both monsters. You're just as much a monster as I am, General, and stuff like that. I don't know exactly how, I don't remember exactly how it went, but it's stuff like, where it's like, whoa, Dimitri's bringing up some interesting kind of ideas and points here. And as it goes on, like, Dimitri goes through, like, some very interesting character developments and changes, and I really liked how his character progressed and stuff like that. Which house would you say is the best path, though? So, there's the 3 houses, but the 4 routes, because Black Eagles splits off. So far, I've only done Black Eagles freaking go against the Edelgard route, and the Blue Lions route. And I'm currently in progress of Golden Deer, and I have no idea how it ends up. So, with my current knowledge, I would say Blue Lions. I mean, I only have the freaking Black Eagles go against Edelgard to compare it to, since I've only done those 2. But honestly, I actually really enjoy Blue Lions.
You have the look of someone relieved to see me. Before you ask,
whoops.
Yes, my superior spellcraft is yours. It's your reward for waiting so patiently for me.
Are you sure?
I'm sure that you need me, and that is enough. I recommend that you accept my generous offer. But my assistance has a price. I expect you to aid me in fulfilling my dream of restoring House Nouvelle.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, Dimitri's character change is, like, very interesting. You're just wondering out of the ones I've done. Yeah, I don't know how the Golden Deer route is gonna develop. I know that Claude is, like, interested in some research on the heroes' relics and stuff. Like, there were a couple times in pre-time skip where he's like, yo, Teach, can I see that sword of the creator of yours or something?
Cleared out once the fighting started.
But, like, I don't really know a whole lot about Golden Deer.
Used to keep order around here. But it's Yuri who's saving us from complete chaos.
But yeah, I do know that the Black Eagles go with Edelgard route is, like, the shortest route in the entire game. And apparently, after the time skip, it only has, like, one of the higher level cutscenes, like the fully animated things. If you know the versions I'm talking about. So not like the freaking 2 characters talking to each other like this, but like the fully animated cutscenes. Apparently that route only has like one of those in the entire thing, whereas every other one has like multiple additional cutscenes after the time skip, and it's like, oh,
the past 5 years have been so
they really skipped on that one route.
I kind of miss the chase. I don't have family ties worth fighting for, so these muscles are up for grabs. Use me as you see fit, pal.
Cool. I'm counting on you.
You're a smart one. Just point me at a problem and I'll smash it up for you. If you're worried my skills have dulled from disuse, think again. I've been fighting thieves to stay sharp.
But yeah, I honestly really enjoyed the Blue Lions route. If I had to, like, I don't know how Golden Deer winds up. I don't know anything about Edelgard's route apart from it's the shortest in the game. Doesn't Dimitri get an eye patch later on? Yes. And it's never actually explained how he gets his eye patch. But something very, very interesting is that if you take the route where you side with Edelgard with the Black Eagles, Dimitri doesn't get an eye patch, and it's the only route where he doesn't get an eye patch. And it's never really explained, but a lot of fan kind of theories are you as the professor going with Edelgard and advising her and stuff like that has made her be like a lot more peaceful and holding back a lot more in conflict than she would normally. So it's kind of very much implied that sometime in like the past 5 years in the time skip, Edelgard probably took out one of Dimitri's eyes. But if you as the professor go with Edelgard, then that makes her like a lot more peaceful and hold back a lot more, and then that never happens. She never takes out one of his eyes. That's like the fan theory. So if you as the professor go with Edelgard and side with her, Dimitri keeps both of his eyes, but every other route he gets an eye patch. So, you know, interesting kind of fan theory there that it was probably Edelgard that took out one of his eyes, but, you know, she's made more peaceful if the professor goes with her.
I've been waiting for so long.
Something kind of interesting there.
You might have died.
And it's a cool attention to detail on the devs part.
I didn't have anywhere else to go, so I stayed here.
Having that little change. Wait, what? Sorry to keep you waiting can like reference something. What? I don't remember what though. If I said I'm sorry to have kept you, it'd be a freaking Dunban reference from Xenoblade Chronicles, but I don't know.
I've been kind of lonely.
Yeah, so it was probably Edelgard that got his eye. Like, it's never explained. Like, it's never said how he loses his eye, but considering that he doesn't have an eye patch in the route where you go with Edelgard, it's very much implied that Edelgard probably took out his eye.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Alrighty then, Guzma.
So surprised to see me here. I flew here just as soon as I heard you were alive. I care more than you may realize.
I'm happy you came.
Who are you now? I will admit, hearing that does make my heart flutter a bit.
Should I S support with him at the end?
Aligned, I'll happily work alongside you.
Okay. But yeah, let's go to the scrap heap over here. Wonder what I'll find here. Okay, sure. Grab those from the scrap heap. Was there anyone I didn't talk to in Abyss? No, but now that we've reached the time skip, we should be able to see what other things Influencer can do. Summon the Wayseer? What the hell is the Wayseer?
This one?
Help the Abyss flourish. Had to refresh stream since you're a minute behind. Gotcha. Alright, well, here's some DLC stuff that I couldn't do before. Our round Astrologer has come, and a new quest has been unlocked. Check the bulletin board for details. And organize the Shadow Library. Increase the number of residents in the Abyss and unlock new activities. Okay, I'll see what this is, because it's the last bit of DLC stuff in this game, and it's only available after the time skip, so I can only do it now. More people now visit the Shadow Library, so new quest has been unlocked. Check the bulletin board for details.
See you again soon.
Okay. So there's like another room here, and there's apparently an Astrologer. What did... a Wayseer? What do you do? You haven't unlocked the Wayseer? I just unlocked you! What are you talking about, game? What do you mean I have... Maybe I need to go do this quest and it unlocks the Wayseer? This is my first time seeing stuff like this. This area down here is like the DLC area, so this is my first time experiencing this.
I've been kind of lonely, as you might have noticed.
Was this the same thing that you said before? I wasn't paying attention before. I'm sorry, Happy.
I could use your help.
A fortune teller recently set up shop in Abyss. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then why not drop by? Seek out the Wayseer to be in Abyss. Perhaps you can offer insight into getting to know your allies. Okay. So I guess that's just what... Okay, so now I'll unlock the ability to do this. So I've never done this before. So what is this then, huh? Wayseer.
Why, hello there.
Give some of your renown to the Wayseer, and she can tell you about the bonds between your... I don't want to spend my renown. Strengthen bond, analyze the prospective relationship between the selected pair, and boost their support points. Does not work on pairs who are already... Oh, can you unlock support conversations? Like, force it with renown? Connect fates, foresee the destinies of a deeply bonded pair, and either intertwine them together or separate them from another. Oh! Wait. So you can, like, get more support conversations with somebody? In that case? And I assume connect fates. So after... I did mention that previous Fire Emblem games, namely Awakening and Fates, did have S support with, like, different characters with each other, with them, like, pairing together, being married, having kids, yada yada, because that has to do with, like, you know, you getting their kids and being able to use them in battle. But in this game, after the credits roll, there's, like, a little epilogue for each of the characters, and it does say, like, what characters, like, paired off with one another after the credits and stuff like that. It's like, oh, these two, like, went together and they lived like a happy, peaceful life, stuff like that. I assume Connect Fates is probably something that you can only do like right before the end, and you can like, you know, force two people to go together if you want to really see what happens with them. That's interesting. That's intriguing there. But yeah, I'll probably choose Black Eagles and go decide with Edelgard as your first run, then try Blue Lions next. What you could always do is, like, before the time skip, is also, like, have a separate save file. Like, this game has a freaking lot of save file slots. 25 of them. So, like, before you make the choice to side with Edelgard, you could just, like, save in a different slot, just in case you ever want to go with the other side down the line. I probably should have done that. I didn't do that. I mean, it was also my first playthrough, so, like, I probably would make better builds now anyway, and I'd play on a harder difficulty if I ever went back. But that way, it's just, like, an easier way to do the other route, like, starting right the new stuff if you ever wanted to. But yeah, as your first run, then try Blue Lions next. I feel like after 2 playthroughs, that, you know, 2 playthroughs is a reasonable amount to, like, go through without experiencing burnout. Because I got through my 2 playthroughs, and I was like, okay, great, I had fun, things are great, but now on my 3rd playthrough is when I'm starting to feel the burnout. So, you know, if you go with 2 playthroughs, yeah, that could be a good option there, especially since, like, Black Eagles is also the shortest one. So you talk to the Wayseer, huh? That kind of thing's not really for me. If she told you, if she told me something good, I get my hopes up. If she told me something bad, I get upset. But I'm glad you got something out of it. Cool. Also, keep in mind with doing, like, the shortest route of Black Eagles there, pre-time skip is 12 chapters. And then, whoa, what the heck did I just... Okay, I didn't even realize that button did that. The pre-time skip, which is the exact same for all the routes, is 12 chapters. And then Edelgard's route is 6 chapters, so it's like half the length. And then, you know, so if we don't think it'd be too repetitive, doing 12 chapters, and then 6 chapters, and then doing the same first 12 chapters, and then 2 new chapters, then yeah. But, you know, be aware of, like, burnout of, you know, multiple playthroughs of this game the way that's burned me out. Is there anything new in the library? It said that there might have been some stuff here. It said that there's some new people. Maybe there's comes later. But yeah, I gotta head out now and get some rest since you got college class tomorrow. Have fun with the rest of the stream, and good luck with class to you as well. Thanks for all the help and advice, by the way. Oh, don't worry about that. We'll do the shortest one first. But yeah, keep in mind that 2/3, literally 2/3 of the shortest one is stuff that you do in, like, the next playthrough over again anyway. So it's like... Yeah. Also, when it comes to difficulty, I'd recommend freaking normal mode on first playthrough, and then on second, if you wanted to challenge something like hard, maybe try it. But freaking Maddening mode, the difficulty I'm playing on, is not okay. Like, they did not playtest this. I'm convinced that they did not playtest freaking Maddening mode. It seems to be balanced around stupid New Game Plus carrying some progress over kind of stuff. Like, I don't know how it'd be realistically beatable without New Game Plus.
I have a favor to ask.
It's very strange. But yeah, hope you have a good sleep, Kuzma. I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out. And it seems that the list of rare books that the Church of Saros does not make publicly available is turned up in Abyss. If you could get your hands on that list. Okay, so this has to do with the library. But I'll do normal first anyway. Yeah, that's probably good. Wait, so do I need to go back down to Abyss for this freaking thing again? Because I don't see anything on the map here. Why did I need to talk to somebody, like, outside of Abyss for that? Come out of a loading zone just to freaking come out there and then go back to Abyss again. This is probably going to be the longest exploration we do for the rest of the playthrough. But yeah, take care there, Guzma. Because I'm going to be sort of rushing through the rest of this game-ish, I do think that that will probably be the longest exploration we do for the rest of the playthrough. Like, maybe I'll talk to at least my students when we do further explorations in future months, just because, like, you know, stuff past this point is new and maybe they'll have new dialogue and stuff. But I'm not gonna go around doing, like, everything I possibly can. I mean, there's also a whole lot more stuff for me to have done this time anyway, considering, you know, it was just after the time skip and there was a bunch of freaking, you know, do I have to go back to you now through another loading screen? This is absurd. Oh my goodness, this game though. Well, but yeah, since I'm gonna be, like, freaking speed running the rest of explorations and stuff and just getting things done with them, you know, this is probably gonna be the longest exploration for the rest of the playthrough. Most likely. That we might ever do in this game, potentially, because I don't know if I'm ever gonna do the 4th route. Because holy crap, I don't think I can do those first 12 chapters again. I'm so tired of those first 12 chapters after doing them 3 times in the 1.5 years since this game has been out.
My savior.
Alright, here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, I've made a copy. Perhaps the books included in the list will be of use to you. I wonder what you'll find if you search the archives in Abyss. And now I have to go back into Abyss again to find out. This is so stupid. Why couldn't she have just been in Abyss?
Oh,
My goodness, to do this quest, you need to start out in Abyss. You need to come out of Abyss. Talk to her to start the quest. Go back into Abyss. Grab the item. Come back out of Abyss. Talk to her to finish the quest. Go back into Abyss. Who needs to be fired for this freaking decision? Ah! That is not okay. How do you... Who is responsible for this? Honestly. Who is responsible for this quest design? So is there just like more lore here now? Guess we're gonna be here for a while. This entire exploration is probably gonna be cut up into 2 different episodes at this point. My beloved, you are right. It seemed he would not hesitate to divide the house. What's more, I hear he's considering taking half of the territory and joining the kingdom. Oh, is this when the kingdom was still, like, not divided into the alliance yet? I can't believe he would even consider dragging another region into this, not to mention stirring up trouble over his inheritance, at a time when the alliance desperately needs to unite. Oh, maybe I'm just... Okay, maybe not then. He's clearly out of his mind. Though he bears a major crest and you a minor crest, your father was wise in his attempt to declare you his heir. As it were, I cannot help but wonder what your intentions with me are. I'm drowning in letters proposing marriage to that beast. He may share your face, but the resemblance ends there. I refuse to marry such a foul creature. If you don't come to me soon, I'm going to you. Don't forget that my father's blessing could be revoked at any moment. I will depart Deirdre at the end of the lone moon. You had better be prepared for my arrival. I wish to marry you beneath the garland moon. Why? Well, I'm a woman after all, and even I harbor dreams of being garland bride. Understood? Great, made it so. Claudia, second daughter of House Regan. Is that Claude's mother? I have no idea. Would someone named Claudia name their kid Claude? A scrap of paper is stuck between the pages of a book. It appears to be incredibly old. Moose meat. Albanian moose is preferable if unavailable. Beef or horse may be substituted. The dish's unique flavor may be somewhat altered. Cause messenger. Be sure to skin, gut, and clean the fish before use. The power of the Zanado treasure fruit. While difficult to obtain, it's well worth the effort. If necessary, boa fruit may be substituted. Seasoning and spices, a dressing and rock salt, herbs of Fargus, and honey of Leicester are strongly recommended. This is a special dish prepared for the new emperor at ceremonies. Though its ingredients are incredibly rare, making it rather expensive, chefs must restrain themselves from sneaking bites during preparation. Well, how do they know that it freaking is up to their standards then, if they're not taste testing? Any chef worth their salt is gonna freaking... whatever. The 7th song. Banquet celebrating the marriage of the young Emperor Lycanon III continued until a full moon waned to a half moon. It's hard for me to see that A, because for the sake of me playing DBD and a particular killer in that game, I have a taped on crosshair to the center of my screen that I drew in a blue plus. You probably can't see it. It's not gonna focus in, is it? Oh, you can sort of see it right there if it focuses in a little bit. Oh, whatever. Anyway, I have a freaking blue plus that's like drawn on in pen on the center of my screen on a piece of tape, so I can remove it. Of course, it's not like I wouldn't draw on my monitor. Dumb. The waits have scurried about the castle, refilling golden glasses, goddess glasses. All present savor the taste of the fine Bacchus from Baramas, as well as the screams of the northern swordsmen. They were torn apart by wild beasts during the countless dishes on the banquet tables, were each overflowing with spectacular offerings. What is this sentence? Were torn apart by the wild beasts during the countless dishes on the banquet table, were each overflowing with I assume that's supposed to be like, I presume that there's like passages that are missing in the middle space? Most likely. Treats themed after the four saints graced massive platters, just waiting for our greedy fingers to snatch them up. In honor of Saint Kihol, guardian of the land, prime Grandor wheat was used to bake endless loaves of delectable bread. In honor of Saint Sethaline, savory fish was presented, of course it was, a dish she is believed to have loved. When the clown dressed as this just went to from 0 to 100 real fast. When the clown dressed as Saint Seros decapitated the criminal dressed as Nemesis with a single swing. Oh, so it was like for show then. I was about to say like, wait, for real? The spectators cheered with bridled enthusiasm. A young man staring at the Emperor Wilhelm as he caught the saint, I can't words, and pulled her into a close embrace, suddenly beckoned me. He pressed his lips to my ear and whispered sweet nothings, mirroring Emperor Wilhelm and Saint Seros upon the stage. The date of removal and Seth's signature follow. It appears to be a novel set in the Adressian Empire. It has sustained great damage, so nothing else is left. Oh yeah, I remember, like, I think it was in my first playthrough we found out that a lot of the stuff in the library, like, up in the monastery was, like, removed and such. Like, stuff that the monastery wanted to hide. So I guess this is, like, all of what that stuff is the stuff that they were hiding up there. Words of love. Tables of contents, how to compliment a lover. The art of seduction. The myth of true love's singularity. Gifting Saint Sethleen's love garden. Alone time ingredient done. The date of removal and Seth's signature follow. It seems this was briefly part of the monastery's library, but all pages are missing save the table of contents. Well then. I don't know if anybody potentially watching this has ever seen the meme where there's one dude asking another dude, like, oh, what do you think is the best way to make friends? And the other dude answers with, like, tell a girl you love her so that she can say, I think it's better if we're just friends. Burn papers that resemble a report of some sort. A few passages survived the fire and are still legible. Item 18, Part 5. Fargus Rebellion. I harbor doubts about the army Lug has raised. How did he recruit soldiers without raising suspicions in the Empire? How did he acquire those mysterious weapons, so like the hero's relics? What is the true identity of Pan, the tactician rumored to have been integral to Lug's victories, and those who slither in the dark? Item 22, Part 2. The Shadowed Order of the Knights of Saros believe that King Klaus I of Fargus was assassinated. Everyone believes that his will, which demands the territory be divided among the 3 princes and fails to name a successor, is fake. The purpose was likely to involve the Leicester region and display a greater military force than the Empire. Item 49, Part 18. The Tragedy of Desker, after which more members of the Western Church are strongly criticizing the Central Church. Among them are those who claim the incident in Desker was the work of the Shadowed Order of the Knights of Saros. It seems that a confrontation over the dogma's legitimacy is inevitable. Soon, the child of House Gaspard. I forget which house that is, honestly. But, like, honestly, the world building and lore that they crammed into this game is really something to be commended, honestly. Like, I can't imagine, like, how much time was spent with a bunch of people, like, in a room with, like, a map of the world, just, like, planning out all these little side plots and lore and freaking everything that makes it into a genuine world. One of my favorite things about Three Houses is it's very much not like, oh, here's the stuff that you get to experience here and the story, and, you know, just take our word that there's more of a world out there. You don't get to, like, hear about it or anything, but there's a world, here's a story in it. Instead, you get all these bits and pieces, both through, like, searching like this, and also through, like, the story itself, when you hear, like, little bits and pieces about the lore of, like, other parts of the world, where it's like, holy crap, they put a lot of, like, time and effort into giving this continent an entire history, like an entire set of lore, histories behind all the different regions, instead of just being like, yep, there's 3 regions here on this continent, we're telling a story in it. They made an entire history around, like, the entire continent and everything that goes on within it, and it's honestly commendable. Like, I think that's one of my favorite things about the world of Three Houses, honestly. Item 51, Part 6. Son of the Alliance's leader, Duke Oswald Regan, has died in an accident. This follows an incident involving the previous successor, and even the Knights of Saros suspect that it was Count Gloucester's command, though it seems too conspicuous. There is some concern that this could spark a war. Duke Regan gravely ill. The situation is... Like, even though I'm literally working on a video essay that's probably going to be like an hour's worth of all my problems I have with this game, which is quite a few, I think that this is still my game of the year for 2019. Either that or Astral Chain, but I didn't even play Astral Chain until 2020, because people told me it was good, and I was like, maybe I'll play it eventually. And then I played it in 2020, and I was like, holy crap, this game is freaking amazing. Encyclopedia of Woodlands Insects. This book's title does not match its contents, suggesting a false cover. It seems to be a catalog of some kind. Distance viewer, based on glasses. What, a freaking telescope? Distance viewer? A spyglass? By combining glass lenses, one can view great distances with enhanced clarity. Crafting such a tool was forbidden by decree of the Archbishop for the following reasons. 1, the ease of locating enemy camps would escalate wartime violence. 2, it would be too easy to snipe from afar. 3, it would lessen the mystery of the goddess who watches from above. You know, there's one of the memes I have in my library is it shows like a book that's like yay thick, and it's like a typical JRPG, and then it shows a book that's like that size beside it, and it's like JRPG if the church wasn't evil. But I mean, one of my favorite things about a lot of fictional games like Three Houses is the fact that, you know, even fictional worlds like this can make arguments about our actual world. Like, this is not set in anywhere close to, like, you know, Earth's history or anything like that. Like, the worlds of Fire Emblem are their own universe. They have their own, like, physical rules of the world. They're, like, completely separate. But that doesn't stop them from making arguments about our world. And this is one of the subjects that we touched upon on my use of history in video games class in university, was the fact that there are a lot of fictional games out there that will, and media in general, that even though it has, like, its own existence, it still makes arguments about our own world. So things like this, where it's like, oh, the church is saying that you're not allowed to freaking make a telescope or a spyglass, but it's probably supposed to be a telescope. Because one of the reasons is it would lessen the mystery of the goddess who watches from above, because they don't want people looking up there and being like, maybe there is nothing up there after all. They don't want people to, you know, fall out of their dogma and, you know, that, because the reason that a lot of religions were made is to control the masses. And there are a lot of cases in history where if you have something or present any evidence that, like, you know, opposes it or show any doubts, they'll be like, how about you don't? And keep people believing exactly what we want them to believe so that we can keep them under our thumb and stuff. So it's very interesting how game worlds and just worlds in media in general that are completely fictional can still make strong arguments about our own world. So things like the church in this world being like, oh, you're not allowed to make a telescope because it would lessen the mystery of the goddess who watches from above. It's like, what parallels could that be drawing to in our world? So I honestly have great respect for games that do stuff like that. Flammable black water. What, tar? A sticky black liquid was discovered in northern Fargus. It burns fiercely and emits a highly toxic gas. The use of this wicked substance was forbidden by decree of the Archbishop for the following reasons. 1, misuse could result in accidental death. 2, it could be used tactically for those lacking magical ability. And 3, competition for it could cause strife. It could be used tactically for those lacking magical ability, huh? We want to keep, you know, all the freaking magic users under our thumb, and then it reminds me of freaking Getsis from Pokemon Black and White, where he's like, let's separate Pokemon from people so that I'm the only one that has any Pokemon and I control the world. Saying things like tar is like, oh, we don't want that to get out there because it could be used by people who can't use magic, is like the freaking Church of Saros being like, yep, we have a lot of freaking magic users. We're gonna keep our power and our control by making sure that, you know, people who can't use magic don't even the playing field. Interesting. Metal mold printing machine. Though initially lauded as a practical replacement for woodblock printing, after careful consideration, the Archbishop deemed it taboo for many reasons, particularly the following. 1, risk of mass circulation of misinformation and malevolent rumors. 2, it is useless to illiterate commoners. 3, risk of intensifying disparity between church branches. Yeah, I don't know a lot about the history of, like, the early printing press, but I would not be surprised if, you know, there were several religious forces that opposed the early printing press due to the fact that it's like, oh, we don't want people spreading information that isn't, you know, people, you know, just following our belief and being under our control and stuff like that. Like, I would not be surprised if there was cases like that. There probably is cases like that, knowing how a lot of history has gone. Like, I don't know for sure, but, you know, seeing a church being like, nope, you don't get to make a printing press because it has the risk of mass circulation of misinformation and malevolent rumors. Sure, that's not just a fancy way to say that it's a way of spreading, like, information that goes against your belief. human autopsies, especially involving head or chest incisions. Though it is widely believed that this was medically irrelevant, such actions upon a corpse are considered discretion of the dead. Since white magic can be used to a similar end, autopsies were deemed taboo. A notable cardinal asserted that if medical science were to excel over faith-based white magic, it would destabilize the foundation of the church. Yep. I feel like in the entire playthrough, so far, the entire 230 or 40 or whatever part we're at now, something playthrough, this document right here has been the single biggest example of a fictional game world making arguments about our real world. In Three Houses, that is, not in like any game ever. But in this game so far, from what I've seen, this is the biggest example of lore that I can see where it's a fictional world making arguments about our world. Yep, don't wanna open up a person, see how they tick and stuff like that, and maybe it's not so magical after all. Maybe there's like a scientific explanation for each of the parts of your body functioning the way they do. Romance of... That was actually a really fascinating document, that last one. I really enjoyed that. Romance in the world's perdition. In the land of Thinis, where the old gods are said to live, the false god has awakened. Its looming, heteromorphic vessel was resurrected to sink the world to the depths of the ocean. It will bring extinction to all children of men, and salvation to all beasts of the land, sky, and sea. For the children of men who spill too much of the blood of life, it promises only cruel retribution. The false god must be defeated before the world sinks into a watery grave. To this end, the children of men have erected pillars of light upon the land. Thinis, Malum, Septum, and Liam? I need to... Yeah, I guess so. I have to look on that screen because it's right where my crosshair blocks were utterly destroyed. Those lands have vanished from this world. Yet even still, the false god stands, and soon a flood aptly named Despair will drown this world. What, is it freaking like almost like the biblical kind of flood where it's like, yep, if we don't do things, yep, that's a thing that totally happened. The children of men fled to the depths of the earth beyond the sight of the false god, beyond the embrace of the sacred sun, and beyond the reach of despair. They swore a fervent oath of revenge against the surface world, ruled by beasts, against their tormentor, the false god. Maybe it's not as parallel to the kind of biblical flood? I don't know. The truth of the hero's relics. I, a priest of Dudism, which is a real religion, by the way, look it up. It's awesome. The findings of my investigation are cool. When a crest stone was removed while its relic was being wielded by a dog, all movement within the relic ceased. When the stone was returned, the relic once again insulted me. It is beyond question that crest stones simply supply their associated relic with power of some kind, and the impetus of said power is clearly related to the crest that certain humans possess. Based on the composition of crap, it can be surmised that chocolate, likely a massive creature akin to a... Okay, I'm just filling in these blanks with, I don't know, whatever the heck comes to mind. Likely a massive creature akin to a wyvern. However, Shia LaBeouf's strength is beyond compare to that of wyvern bones. They are more durable than all materials other than crucible steel, making them ideal for crafting weaponry, and absolutely freaking inhabiting insanely difficult to conceive. But one theory, apart from the Big Bang Theory, does that show even still go on, is possible that despite the goddess's assumptions, have potentially heroes' relics have been found that are not linked to the 10 elites. 2 of the 10 elites' cousins. Could it be that others were gifted this power by the goddess as well? Perhaps the disturbing low rumbling of a fart in the wind in the distance that the relics were not gifts from the goddess. After all. Additionally, 2 plus 5 is 7. The same crest stones really suck. Many of my hypotheses are completely off base. I'm desperate to find truth of it all. The time has come. I just imagine that freaking Kung Fu Panda freaking clip of Uwe being like, my time has come. I must discard the freaking this Uno card. I dare say the goddess would not wish for me to learn more than I already have. The pages are old and worn, so most of the text is illegible. So, essentially, apart from the blanks here, I know I was like joking, with a lot of this. So it seems like most of the power of the relics themselves is the crest stone that like resonates with the crests that people have. And it seems like most likely, as they kind of look, the hero's relics are bones of a giant dragon, is what it seems to imply here. Because I mean, the hero's relics do very much look like bone weapons and such. So they were likely the freaking bones of some great dragon. Heck, maybe it was freaking Sothis. It probably was, if I had to guess. Let's see here. It's much beyond wyvern bones. So it's probably Sothis that the hero's relics came from. Let's see here. They are not linked to the 10 elites. Could be that others were gifted this power. The relics are not gifts from the goddess. Was Sothis freaking murderized and she had her bones taken and turned into weapons? Is what I'm supposed to gather from this? Dare say the gods would not wish for me to learn more than I already have. Fragments of a forgotten memoir. ALL Forest. It has been several months since King Nemesis was defeated, and the tides of war have turned from bad to worse. I received news that my friend Daphne has fallen as well. Those zealots are after our heads, and those of our leaders. All that is left for us is to disappear into the muddy waters Seros has created. My long life may soon come to an end. Beneath the plains. I somehow escaped with my life, but I fear the end is near. Most of my clan has already surrendered to the Empire. To my surprise, I am told their safety was guaranteed. I, however, am a different matter. My life, along with my sacred weapon, will unquestionably be forfeit. My dear son and daughter, hope you can forgive me one day. Why does Seros despise us so? What did King Nemesis do to incur such unyielding wrath? Perhaps it was a mistake to accept his offer. In any case, that is all in the distant past now. And before this body falls to ash, evil. Paper is so tired the rest is legible. So here's our last thing here. Much time has passed since the Imperial calendar was adopted. In the prior calendar, the year began with what we now call the Guardian Moon, and ended with the Ethereal Moon. Back then, the 12 lunar phases were exclusively referred to as months. They came to be known as moons with our current calendar system. Okay, so this world did still used to refer to months as months, huh? Though the prior names of the months are lost, it is known that the Guardian Moon was often shortened to the number 1, Pegasus Moon to the number 2, and so on until the Ethereal Moon, the 12th and final moon. Though inelegant, this was a practical system that apparently served the people of the time well. There's no way of knowing when the old calendar was created. Any attempt to trace its origins leads only to the era of the gods and more unanswered questions. All we know for certain is that the calendar has existed for a nearly incomprehensible length of time. Don't tell me that the world of freaking don't tell me it's something like Pikmin where it's like way in the future of like Earth or something like that. Or like Xenoblade, for that matter. The change of civilization's calendar would inevitably cause great confusion and unrest. Why then did Emperor Wilhelm, the first leader of Adrestia, choose to abandon the original calendar in favor of the Imperial calendar? Historians have identified several possible reasons for such a drastic measure. Also, to like elaborate on that thing that I just said about like, please don't be a far future Earth. I don't think that there's any way that Three Houses would be. That would be... Like, Fire Emblem does some pretty far out things sometimes. I don't think it would be that far out. Number 1, the influence of the Church of Saros. The names of the Imperial calendar's moons and the associated lore behind them are intimately related to the tenets and saints of the Church of Saros. It is highly probable that basing the new calendar on the teachings of Seros was Emperor Wilhelm's attempt to spread those beliefs on a much wider scale and help legitimize the church. Yeah, I can see that being a reason for changing a calendar system. I mean, even our freaking system for, you know, considering what year it is, which is currently 2021, is not exactly the beginning of, you know, human history, or human history as we know it, I guess. Like, and also something very fascinating is if we wanted to have, like, if we wanted to number our years much closer to the beginning of, like, human history as, you know, humans that, you know, are smarter than a lot of other, than most of the other creatures on this planet, and like build structures and like think critically and create inventions and stuff like that, then all we would need to do to the year is just add a 1 in front of it. So instead of this year being 2021, it would be 12,021, because roughly 12,000 years ago was roughly the time period where we start seeing evidence of people starting to build the first structures. Like, it's typically around that time period. So if we instead considered this year to be like 12,021 instead of 2021, that would be a year system that would, you know, much more encompass human history as creatures that, you know, create things and put structures together and stuff like that. It would very much encompass more of humanity as a whole, instead of, you know, our current system for years being, you know, based around Christ and such. But, you know, knowing how humans are, I very much doubt that we'd ever, you know, have a 1 added to the front of our year. Though I'd be all in favor for it. If that is the case, it is further proof that the Addressing Empire has close ties to the Church of Saros from the very moment of its inception. And anyway, what I meant by that whole thing is, like, having, you know, systems of measurement of time based around some religious reason is nothing new in our world. Alternatively, it has been posited? What even? That's the first time I've ever seen that word. What the heck is posited? I'm gonna Google it right now, actually. I'm gonna Google it right now. Posited. What is this? Assume as a fact. Put forward as a basis of argument. Put in position place. So, alternatively, it has been, you know, assumed or stated. It has been posited that the goddess herself wished to change the calendar and voice this desire through the prophet Seros. Ah. Yes, surely. Assuming that Emperor Wilhelm simply implemented the change rather than originating it. Number 2, asserting authority. Calendars represent the flow of time, so creating a new one is akin to claiming dominion over time itself. Shortly after its founding, the Empire used its influence to establish a new calendar and retroactively proclaim its founding as Year 1. Amid the unification of Fodlan, this move increased imperial authority and heralded the start of a new era. I mean, as was just discussed there, you know, calendar systems being based around some religious reason, or some other great force of power reason, is nothing new for our world. So, again, really cool ways for a fictional game world to draw parallels and make arguments about our own world. Man, I am so glad I took that class on the use of history in video games. I have such greater respect for stuff like this now. I haven't used any of my activity points. What's our motivation look like? Okay, it's good enough anyway. I can take some people to the sauna, maybe. We can see the rest of these support conversations, or I could save it for, like, next session. It's not like these support conversations are going anywhere. We've seen a lot of support conversations this time anyway. And combined with all that lore, yeah, this one exploration, plus, like, maybe the lesson after, is already gonna be divided into 2 parts. So I'm gonna finish exploration right now. We will... Wait! No! I didn't want to finish... I wanted to use my activity points to, like, the sauna or something. Oh! Crap! Oh, no! Well, I mean... Oh, I forgot that it's like the war council. I was about to come in with, like, listen up all you brats. I know I didn't take any of y'all in the sauna that last exploration. Didn't feed any of you. And I didn't give myself any training. But despite that, we're gonna try our best to, like, give you things here and stuff. I can't believe I didn't use a single activity point that... I don't really want to do everything over again, though. I'm not going back for it. Let's develop your lances. I kinda want to give you Defiant Crit so that you get the crazy build. In fact, maybe I'll change one of your skills away, Claude, if I go into your goals, honestly. Yeah, I don't really need to develop axes anymore. Sure, let's do that, and you'll automatically be getting flying up in battle here and there anyway. I think Claude's the only person I'm gonna give, like, a super crazy build to. I don't really want to take the time or effort to do it for anyone else, but I'll give it to Claude, though. Is the thing. No. Classes, ZR. If I want to make you a Dark Knight, I just can't get, like, riding up, huh? Okay, I'm just gonna train your riding a bit, Lawrence. Lawrence, Helman, Gloucester. Let's get it up there. Oh, come on. I mean, I'll get you ready for a freaking masterclass by getting this closer to A, I guess. Okay, I guess I can turn this off, both these off, so I guess it doesn't block things. Lysithia's freaking busted. Let's see here. Let's do this. And stuff. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Cool. What am I doing with Hilda anyway? I wanted her to be like a great knight or something, right? Something? Should I train her in riding? I can train her in armor for now. See if I can get that to B and then maybe put her in armor class for a while and then she'll automatically gain like armor points or something. I don't know. Well, it's obvious what I want to make you. Yeah, I just gotta get riding up there, huh? I mean, I can probably reclass you to Cavalier or something like that to potentially...
Nope.
To maybe potentially get some riding practice here and there. Okay, I should probably do one of you guys that has the 4 motivation instead of 3 with Happy. Sorry, Happy. Sure, let's get this up there. Is what we do. Sure. Let's get that to B+. Neat.
I'm a quick study.
And I'll put a little thing into Faith Magic. Sure. Sure. Sounds good. Let's go ahead and begin training. So, yeah, it's begin training now instead of begin lesson. It feels like it's been 3,000 years since I've been in post-time skip. I think alcohol consumption increases as we continue to fight, day after day after day. Oh, I mean for the monastery. As a whole here, not just for me. Still, is it something we should be more careful about? Elves are free to drink as much as they want. I'd like everyone to avoid excessive drinking. Everyone. Focus on limiting your intake. I'll worry about the others.
It seems like you just know everything.
Well, why is it that Manuel is always the one who wants to ask me a question, never any of my students? Chatterbox, you know what a Valkyrie is? They're magic wielders who ride horses. As soon as I heard that was a thing, I knew it was right up my alley. So I gotta get really good in reason and riding, okay? You will focus on that down the line. Don't worry, I literally do have in mind for you to probably be a Valkyrie anyway. So, like, don't worry, Happy. We're just, like, focusing on those 2 for now. Is the thing. Yeah, we have our good old war councils now. In Stiff. Alright, we'll do our group activities. So we'll do... Who am I having doing group activities again? I've forgotten. I've kind of forgotten. Are we not doing group activities? What? Are those just not a thing at all anymore?
Good fuel for a scheme.
Wait.
This'll come in handy.
Oh, cool. It's been a while since I've done post-time skip stuff, but is there, like, no group activities after a thing? Sure, I'll get free magic practice. Why would I ever, like, not do that? Why would I ever not do that? Who's gonna get magic practice? Hopefully someone who can use it. Well, one of them can.
Is this necessary? I'll sing if I must.
Thanks, RNG.
Tra-la-la-la-la, sing
Well,
out over
at least you can use it.
ring out over valleys, let my lovely voice echo through the streets and alleys.
Oh, I think that's the freaking craziest I've ever seen the singing practice anybody get with it in this game. Also, it gives like so little faith magic experience. Another complaint about this game that I probably won't mention in that one video that I'm working on. I just want to see what there is in battle. We don't have any paralogs right now. There's 2 quests. There's stuff there. I mean, maybe we'll do a battle like that. Oh, there's like the fishing thing at the end of the month if I want to do the quest to catch the big one. Or whatever the hail. You've already mastered Cavalier, looks like. Huh. I could have you become a paladin for a while, maybe. Wait, before I wrap things up, we'll do support conversations next time because we've already spent 2 hours on one exploration. Like, holy crap, this game can be long. Let's see here. I'll try this. Come on, Leone. Come on, become a paladin so that way you can freaking get the riding experience you need to go on to become a boat knight. Nice. So you'll just be wielding like a bow or a lance from horseback for now.
Paid off.
Wait, and before I forget, I should probably... Something that we heard about last time was freaking Darkflyer has crappy magic growths. So I should be in something else while leveling up or something. Wait, speaking of, maybe it is worth it to have Lysithea unlock one of these ones then. In that case. Like maybe do some leveling up in Gremory or something like that. Which should have much better magic growths. But then for like actual crazy Seros battles, have you become a Darkflyer, because holy crap, Darkflyer Lysithea is busted!
Perfect comprehension.
Like, I'm wondering if I should just stick with Darkflyer Lysithea instead of making her a Valkyrie like I originally thought. Like, Valkyrie does get 1 extra magic range, so I might still do that. So she becomes, like, much slower. But, you know, is, like, a freaking sniper tower thing. But I do like the hit and run kind of playstyle of the Valkyrie. Let's see here. Oh. So you're currently in Trickster, and that's currently mastered. I can have you work on your... magics like this. I need to buy some more seals. I'll buy some more seals when I get the chance here. I might also, now that it's time skip, I might actually set all of them to just have their monastery looks now that they're not wearing like uniforms and stuff, and that they actually have like their own kind of looks. Can I just do that in... I probably have to do it while I'm exploring? Probably. I'll see if I remember next time. I'll go to the marketplace and the item shop. Let's see here. That'll, like, restock, like, each month anyway. Let's just make myself kind of broke like that. I'll buy, like, 5 of those, too. Sure. Sure. When it comes to certifications here, I don't really need anything else, I don't think. Claude is working up towards Wyvern Lord. Do I want to I freaking never use my Dark Seal, so I just want to, like, use one? I could temporarily make you a paladin and develop your riding skills.
There must be some mistake.
Well, let's see here. What I want him to develop... What is that thing with a hat that he can do? Grappler, apparently, huh? Well, you'll develop your thingamabob over there more. Wait, did I... Where's... Do you not have the other Darksteel one available, Ignuts? Wait. Like, there's Dark Mage, for example. Wasn't there an advanced one, too? Dark Bishop. Is it not... Wait, I'm so confused. Does it only unlock if you get the prior one first? Probably? Or something? I mean, you're fine as Warlock for now, I guess. But yeah, that'd probably be the case if I had to guess or something. Let's see here. Because, like, I never use these Dark Seals. Like, I know that they're in limited amounts, but, like, I never use them anyway. I could, you know, afford to give somebody the Life Taker skill. Or something. Maybe Lawrence. Dang it, I shouldn't have freaking given him that thing. I'll see if I remember next time. Constance. It's just freaking this thing. I'm tired of seeing this. Just take it. And, like, don't go into it. That's what you'll do. How about you don't?
I passed! As
well,
I knew I would, of course.
I just want to get that freaking symbol out of here. I could have you become a freaking Dark Mage Balthus. I don't really want to, though. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now. So this was an over 2-hour sitting of freaking one exploration. We're not going to have that long of one in the future, I don't think. It could have been freaking 2.5 hours if I did all this. We'll do that another time. Yeah, we didn't even do, like, any regular gameplay of any battles or anything. This entire session was just one long exploration. It's 2 in the morning. I'm gonna go get some sleep now. So, let me just say thanks all who stopped by and hung out for the shenanigans here. Next time, we'll do some more explorations and advance towards the story battle at the end of the month. Next time, we'll actually do a freaking battle, I guess. So, until then, I'm out of here. See ya.